Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at drop pods. You can see it laid out here. I'm just doing a testing round at the moment. But what my aim with this video is to show you two things. Firstly, the setup, and we'll talk through that. And then secondly, we're going to drill down onto one of the rooms and have the room focused alongside the drop pod eradication contract. Really, you need to be able to see both of those, and the very nature of the game is if you try and set that up on camera, it's quite difficult to see. So by drilling down to one of the rooms, we're going to have a good look at how to deal with one of these alien pods. Firstly, let's have a look at what we have before us. So when you play a game of drop pods, you have three characters, and I have them lined up along the top here. They each have their own character card, and you can see here a set of skills and resources. The resources change during the game. You will find, scavenge and start with resources that you can use to set traps. The skills here, they can be affected after the game as you gather experience points as you go through the game. Your characters will improve, and their chances of killing the aliens therefore will also improve. So that's Einar. I also have Doug. He's good with tools and muscles, and you can see he's got some resources down here on the right hand side. And we have Mira in there. So you have three people as part of your task force. Another important part of the game is the resources. And you can see here, this is just a little crib sheet that I have available. You've got containers, heavyweights, ropes and cords, material, sharp shards, netting, blades, corrosive liquids, metal supports, stabbing tools, wooden lengths. And they all have their own little abbreviation there. Then you have the map. Now this is made up of tiles that you print and use from the main rulebook. They go together. You just simply place them, and there's a little guide that comes with the maps as to how to put these together. All colour, but you can print them out in black and white if you prefer. Then we have these little pawns that you get a little template for, which you can print and stick. There's a little slip along the back. You put the glue on and then hold them together. These move within the squares on the board. That's your three characters that you've seen at the top. And then you have your drop pod eradication contract, which you fill out. And then for each pod you encounter, you put things like the support, the clout, and then the trigger, which is integral parts for the trap. As the alien emerges, it will hopefully trigger the trap, and you can do a certain amount of damage depending on how many clout mechanisms you have. And then finally, you've got your rules. Now I've printed these out on A5 paper. There are more things in the book, but this is just for convenience. In fact, that's not finally. You have dice as well. These are your timers for the game down here. Then you'll need to roll dice as you play and encounter the alien pods. So that's the setup. Let's have a look at encountering a pod in one of the rooms. We're going to be following Doug as he tries to trap this alien pod down the bottom here. Okay, so we are zoomed in on one room. Makes it easier to understand how to interact with the pods and how to try and kill the aliens. And you can see we've got the drop pod eradication contract, which you pick up at the beginning of the game. It's been filled in with the details, the pods, the teams, and we have Doug's character card down here. Now, you may well decide when you play the game to have two characters go in and deal with a pod. They may find that easier. But on this occasion, it's just Doug, and he's come into the sitting room, and you can see here there is a pod. It's crashed through into the room, and he is thinking, right, how am I going to deal with this alien? Now, when you go into these rooms, you have a look around. Sometimes there are little red red letters or black letters with a red background. Here we have an M next to the curtains, and he can go and scavenge the material from that area if he wants to. Alright. We also have the possibility of searching the room, searching the debris that's come down with the drop pod. And you can do that quite easily just by standing in the room and then rolling. That means you can't move that turn. And thirdly, if you go into the trigger zone here, this red line, the alien senses danger and begins to hatch. Doug has 4 movement left over from the movement pool. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's going to stand adjacent to the M. Now, in the rest of the house, the other characters are going to be doing their stuff as well. But we would say we'll skip a go. We'll turn that timer down, because each time a turn is finished, you turn the dice over. That's how long you have until all the aliens just hatch, if you haven't encountered their trigger zones already. And then he's going to then scavenge for the material from the curtains. So you can use maybe a support in his trap. So he's going to do that, and on his card down here, just on the M, we are going to write, just do a little tally. So he's got that on there like that. So he's now got some material in his backpack. Brilliant. He could have it slung over his shoulder or something like that. So he's not inside the trigger zone. He's obviously spent another turn, so that turns that down to 2. And at that point, he's going to decide, right, I'm also going to search the space, because I could do with some more resources. Now, because all the stuff's come down through the ceiling, the pods crash through the building, he's got the option to search this space. Now, in the rules, we've got a little table that you roll on. So we're going to roll a die here. Searching the debris, it's called. We get a 2, and then we need to roll in the sub-table. 5. There are some twisted poles here. You pull free. Okay, so there's some metal twisted poles, and you pull them free, and you gain 1 ST. In fact, that ST stands for stabbing tools. So basically there's some twisted bits of metal that look quite good if you put them into a trap. So we're going to write on his card here, ST, stabbing tools. Very nice there. So he's got a selection of items. He's actually got 7 items, which is, you could carry up to 10 items per character. But these will get crossed off as you use them in your traps. Alright, so that's another turn. Now, the dice has gone down to 1. When the first dice reaches 1, roll a die for each remaining pod. On a roll of 6, something the characters have done in the building has startled that pod, and the aliens' efforts to escape have increased for a moment. Put a cross in the first box of the pod timer. If all boxes in the pod timer are crossed through, the alien hatches. More on this later. Okay. So the first timer dice has reached 1 at the top here. That means we have to roll a dice for each pod in the building, in case it increases its efforts to hatch. So if we get a 6, we take off one of the little boxes on the pod. And funnily enough, we get a 6. This pod here has reacted. Now, there are these little pips. We're just going to cross that first one out. That means that Doug's got less time to trap this pod before it hatches. Now, this pod is going to be number 1 pod. We're just going to put that on there. Now, that's important here. So, number 1 pod. Okay. And the alien species we will find out about in a minute. And then we're going to start to set up the trap. Alright, so that's bad luck for Doug there. The alien reacted to the timer going down. Anyway, it's now Doug's turn again. He is going to move in to trap the alien. Now to do that, he's used up some of his movement. So there would have been a certain amount of movement for the team to use. You roll that at the beginning of the turn. Anyway, he needed 3 and he had it, and he goes in up adjacent to the pod. Down here. See that just about down there. Now he's in a position whereby he's going to start trapping. Now the pod reacts instantly to a person coming close to it, so it starts to kind of move a bit and the alien starts to try and get out. So another pip is crossed off on the alien timer, which is these series of boxes attached to the on the image of the pod. So already 2 of these pips have gone down. Doug has got to place his traps, and the first thing that you need for a trap is a support. So it might be some hanging cloth or some poles or something like that to hold what we call the clout. So let's have a look at what he's got. He's got a container, so he's going to use that container as a support. Now there are a range of different types of resources you can use as supports in the trap. You can use containers, ropes and cords, material netting, metal supports, wooden lengths, and every time you do that, that's associated with a skill. So if he's going to use set up a container as a tool, okay, he will have to look, and if he's got tools as his ability, which he does, he's got a +2, that means he adds that to the die roll. So first things first, we're going to use container here, put C there, and we need to roll the die. This is the action number for this particular support, 4 plus his 2, which gives 6, which is a good number. Next, we want the clout. Think about what type of alien is coming out of this pod. It's a green pod. Okay, so that means that the type of alien that's going to come out of this one is called a wrecker, and there are 3 species of wrecker. You can have the despoiler, the firebrand, or the annihilator. Now if we look slightly further on, aliens have weaknesses depending on what sort of clout you use. So clout weaknesses. So we know wreckers have a weakness to corrosive liquids. Now as it happens, our Doug has some corrosive liquids which he's going to use as the clout on this first part of the trap. So we're going to put that CL. When you're setting a clout, it's like with a clout mechanism, the M2 clout mechanism. It's very much like you have to look at what abilities you have. So when using corrosive liquids, if you have the chemicals ability here in your skills and you've got a plus with that, your knowledge of chemicals is good, you can add that plus to the clout mechanism. So unfortunately Doug doesn't have anything like that, so he doesn't get a plus to his die roll for his clout. So we're going to see what, oh, I've knocked Doug over there. We're going to see how he does with this 1. Now that is bad. So Doug's not having a great time of it. So incidentally, for the clout, that was another turn. So it takes 1 turn per mechanism. So in the rest of the house, your other characters are doing their bit, and you would follow them individually as you do it as well. Just that we happen to be zoomed in on Doug, and then a second turn to set up the clout. So we've already crossed 1 out for the support, and we've moved that down to 5 up here, and then for the clout we need to cross off another pip next to the pod down here and turn this over as well to 4. So time is running out in the house. Doug has he's assembled a container with some screws maybe above the alien and a cord maybe attached to it, and then he's put some corrosive liquids inside that container that are now going to hopefully fall. Now Doug's looking at it and he's thinking, right, do I have any other support mechanisms I could do for another element of the trap? And he does. He has got some material which we scavenged over here by the curtain. So he's going to do another support mechanism. He's going to, because Clout 1 is not very good. That's not going to kill an alien, unfortunately. So he's going to put some material up around it, and within that material he's going to put some blades, because he's got some blades as well. So he's going to write material down there for the support, and then for the action number, and let's just check. Support material, if you know knots, you get the plus of the knots. Now he doesn't have any skill in the knots section, unfortunately, so we can't add anything to these rolls, but he gets a 6, so that means that that mechanism is particularly effective, which will have an effect when we roll to see if the trap is triggered. Right, so that's a good roll for Doug there. Take another pip off the alien there, and he's going to put some clout. He's going to put some blades in for this one. So he's going to put blades here. Now, we know wreckers are tough. Okay, you'll see this in the rules. Blades they're a bit resistant to, but that's all that he's got. So he's going to have to use it. Doug he's concerned about how effective this trap's going to be. He knows it looks good, but the clout is not coming up to scratch. Now, he's going to roll for the clout. He doesn't get any bonuses for the blades. So just double check that actually. Blades is tools. No. So Doug has got +2 on the tools. So 5, 7. Excellent. So that is a good result. So he's got a 7 on the clout, M4, for this particular part of the trap. Brilliant. Right, now Doug's feeling a bit more confident. He crosses off another pip here. We are very close to the alien hatching. Now we've only got 3 more pips before this baby comes out. Okay, so trigger. He has got some ropes and cord. Now, ropes and cords, if you know knots, you get the bonuses, but he's got no knots bonus, so he's just going to put ropes and cords there, RC, in the M5 trigger section, and then he's going to roll the die. 4. No bonuses or anything like that. So Doug has assembled this trap. Let's just put another pip off there, whereby he's got a container with some corrosive acid in, and around it he's assembled some material with some knives that are just balanced inside there. They will fall down onto the alien, and he's got a rope trigger section. So he's got some rope. He's attached up to the box. He's standing back, and as the alien hatches, he can pull the rope, or the rope will get caught by the alien, and all this stuff will fall on the alien, hopefully killing it. Now, the ET is the action numbers for each support in your trap plus your trigger action number. So 6, 12, 16. So we're going to have 16 here. Now, we have a look at the alien, and any pips that are left count as your time bonus. So as it happens, there was 1 left. So we've got a +1 bonus on the time bonus, which means it allows Doug just a moment to make sure everything is working okay. So the alien hasn't quite hatched, but he gets a moment. He gets a +1 bonus, and we'll see how that comes into play in a minute. Right, now we have to roll to hit. To roll to hit, take 1 die for every support and the trigger in the trap and roll them together with a maximum of 3 dice. Add up the numbers and compare them to the trap effectiveness total. So we have 12. If it is more than the total, your trap failed and the alien escapes. So if we rolled over 17 on 3 dice, then our trap would have failed. As it happens, we didn't. So the trap has successfully hit the alien that has emerged, and we need to just establish what type of alien has emerged. So there are 3 types of wreckers, as we were saying. 1-2 is Despoiler, 3-4 is Firebrand, 5-6 is an Annihilator. So it's a 1, it's a Despoiler. And we need to establish whether any of these are a weakness for it. So the Clout, the corrosive liquids, is a weakness for this type of creature. But blades are not. Has a Clout resistance of -1. So as the alien hatches, it encounters each Clout mechanism at a time. Okay, so with the first Clout, it's the chemicals. Now it has a weakness to chemicals. If they have a weakness, then the damage is doubled. Unfortunately, because Doug only rolled a 1, that means it's 2. Now you do get to plus your time bonus to that, so that gives you that would give a 3 damage. Now for each Clout mechanism, the alien can try and shrug off the damage. The die, you roll 1 die and minus that from the damage total, which means that did 0 damage. So the alien was able to shrug off. So that's unfortunate. He rolled a 6, does 0 damage. Now the next one is the blades. As it happens, the alien can can try and shrug off some damage, but he's also resistant. So we've got -1 to blades because this particular type of alien is resistant to blades, and but yet we have a time bonus of +1, which cancels that out. So this Clout does 7 damage. He's very effectively set these blades up, and he just needs to roll a die to see what the alien is able to shrug off. 5, which is actually quite a dramatic shrugging. This alien has done a good job defending itself. It's come out, and ultimately it has taken 2 points of damage on this occasion, which means he is only injured. This particular alien has 6 points of damage and has survived the trap. And to summarize, you can also actually have a Molotov cocktail, which you can throw if you've managed to salvage those. Those do a certain amount of damage and add that to the total. Now, this is a really interesting example because Doug, on many levels, was unlucky here. He had the Clout for this creature, which he carefully chose. The corrosive liquids did not do as much damage as he'd hoped. If that had been, say, a 4 and the damage had doubled, there's every chance he could have killed this alien, although the alien did roll a 6 to shrug off the damage there. And then for the blades, very effective. Again, the alien had a good roll and shrugged off quite a bit of damage from that as well. This means that at the end, in the status, the alien has careered out of this particular pod and has stumbled through the room. Because it's injured, it's not actually, it can't affect Doug. Doug's able to duck out of the way. But if it hadn't been injured, which in this situation could have been the case, Doug would have been in a situation where he could have been knocked out by the flaying alien as it escaped and smashed on through the building out into the open, heading into our landscape to try and terraform it for its masters. Okay, so there you go. That is how you play through one of the encountering a pod setting traps. Doug was particularly unlucky. I think he'll feel pretty gutted. And the alien got away, even though Doug had the very strong corrosive liquids for this type of alien. So guys, I hope you found that interesting. It's obviously quite difficult to show something like this on a video. We tried our hardest. I have to admit, I'm recovering from COVID at the moment, which hopefully allows for some of my creaky voice. There'd be 2 or 3 others pods within the building that you would have to then work your way through. And deal with those different other alien elements. This is just a part of the game. Just to show you this system of support clout, trigger, effectiveness, time bonus, damage, and then status. And it's a little keep track of how your characters have done with this particular pod. So guys, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, add them in down below. I'm sure you do have questions. If I've missed something as I've gone along, I apologise. I wish my head was more in the game at the moment. But yes, I wanted to get this out so you could see some examples of how this works. Thanks again. Don't forget to click the thumbs up. And if you're not subbed already, it'd be awesome if you could. I'll be back with you very soon.